Developers, welcome back. This is the second video tutorial of the declarative actions. In our previous steps, we had left with the configuration of the action button and event mapping. So in this video tutorial, whatever the configurations I had to do, I would like to guide you. So let's initiate. So we have this list and we have this assign task button. When you select more than one records or any records, for an instance, this change task. You could see this assign tasks button is enabled now. And if I click on this, you can see this pop up wherein I can select the user to assign this selected task. And this is number 11. So what I will do, before assigning this task to this user, let me copy this number and open the task list in the backend. Okay, now I will filter by this task number. You could see this task is assigned to me. Now I am going to assign to another user. So I will go to my page and again I will click on this assign tasks and I will select the user Andrew Ock and I click assign. So the task is assigned to the Andrew Ock. That's why the task is not listing in this list. If I'll go to the backend list view and if I'll refresh this, you'll see Andrew Ock. First and foremost, I'd like to let you know that updating multiple record at once, that data source is not available out of the box. On the wake of that, I have created my own transform data source, and these two inputs we have to pass assigned to and selected records. Assigned to means whom you want to assign, and selected record means we will pass the selected record IDs to say that assign the selected task to this assigned to person. And it is simple. We have assigned to and task IDs, and we are just doing this client record using the task table. And I've added this query search for these records because we are getting the task is ID. So the filter is ID in task IDs and set the value means we are setting the assigned to, new assigned to. That's why here assigned to and this assigned to from this variable. And this line number 11, we are calling this update multiple method to update all the records at once. And if you have watched my previous video, you know that we have this event called list assign tasks. And this event will be executed when we click on the assign tasks button. And from here, what are we doing? We are updating the client state parameter first. And this is the selected record IDs client state parameter. And the value here is the selected record IDs. I recommend you, if you haven't watched my previous video, watch that video. Will make you easy to understand. And you also know that if you are creating new custom event for the body, from the body, what you have to do, if you click here, if you click this handle events, this plus add button, where you can specify the name of the event, label, description and payload. After setting up this client state, I am calling this custom model select user pop-up to display so that I can select the user to assign the selected tasks. For that model also, just above this body component tree, you could see overlays. Under that we have models. From here you can add different types of models. In my case, I've added this custom. Reason I had to add the stylized text, drop down component, and this assign button. And I will show you which component I've added for this and how I am able to save this user here. So let me scroll up. Let me add that component. Let me try to search that list. Select. So this is the component I have added. Select. And here, if I click on this configure component manually, the list items format I will show you is this ID, label, sub-label, and you have avatar props. With the help of this property, you can show the avatar image. Because I had to inject this type of array object here, so what I did, I added the data resource to fetch the records from the user role. The reason I have used this table because we can add the condition like only for ITL users, means I can assign the task to ITL users only. And by doing dot work, I am accessing the name, sysid, and email as we have user field in the sys user has role table. And search behavior, I have selected this contents so that if I'll type here, I'll show you. See, based on my typing, it is showing the user. So type here you can select as per you. For me, this one is the best. Contents. That's it. And when we set the value to this drop down, then we have to update the client state parameter. And I'm doing the same here. I'm updating the client state parameter that is selected user ID. And when we click this button assign, this button will close the model and call this data resource, which we have just discussed before. We have just discussed about this a few minutes ago. This is the data source which we are executing by clicking this assign button. On button click, assign task to another user, and you can see selected user ID and selected record IDs. And once this assign task to another user one data source will be executed successfully, once the operation will be succeeded, then it will execute this client script post assign success. What it is doing is that it is updating this refresh list client state parameter, and where I'm using this refresh list client state parameter is I'm using for this list one to refresh. See, refresh requested. So here we have to pass an object consist of timestamp property, and that holds the value of uh, milliseconds, the current date time value in milliseconds. See here date dot now. and just set user selection list to format in a way so that our select this drop down component can easily take. We are formatting the receive output from that get ITL users data resource like this.